Hi everyone, this is Emalina Holland, and I want to welcome and thank you for watching this class. I am going to be teaching you about how to connect with your feminine, creative, and spiritual expression by practicing what I like to call creative spirituality and creative motherhood. So, when I talk about creative spirituality, I'm not talking about you becoming an artist, but I am inviting you in a sense to use four basic creative outlets in a very automated and intuitive way. In what you can experience here is a flow. You get to use these creative outlets to discover, explore who you are at the core of your spiritual being. You get to align with that center. You get to nurture and nourish that intimate connection with your spiritual being, and you get to express it. So you get to develop a relationship with your spiritual being and communicate with it in a more direct and sometimes indirect way by using these creative outlets. And what I do see often is that many people think that they have to be talented in singing, or they have to be awesome painters, and they have to dance perfectly for them to be able to do this, or that they have to make money to do it, or if they're not good enough, they're just not even going to try it. I want to invite you to consider doing this for yourself. This is a way for you to connect with your creativity, which is really at the center of your feminine wisdom, with your intuition and your spiritual center. This is a way to embrace and embody who you are as a woman in the most basic levels, and in a much more wholesome way as well. And these four creative outlets that I want to invite you to try are writing. The next one would be singing. Then we're talking about using something visual. It could be drawing, it could be painting, it could be collaging images. And the fourth one would be dancing, where you involve movement. The key when it comes to writing, I find that sometimes writing prose or poetry could be better than trying to journal. But the key here is that you do it by engaging your intuition, okay? And by allowing yourself to just writing whatever comes. Now, with journaling, people many times are just kind of expressing what happened to them during the day, or it is a great way to process your feelings or process whatever you have lived during that specific day, or just to communicate something that if sometimes people have an issue or a problem, and by journaling it helps processing their feelings and their emotions, and that's a great practice. But in this particular case, when it comes to creative spirituality, what I am actually inviting you to do is to get the head out of the way and connect with your intuitive knowledge, with your spiritual center, so that you can channel messages from your own higher self. And in order for you to do that, you must get your head out of the way, and you must really engage that intuitive, automated type of writing where you just flow with what's happening. You're not here writing for you to dissect what happened during the day. You are here becoming a channel so that you can allow your spiritual source, your spiritual guidance, your higher self to communicate to you or through you through the writing. And the same happens with the art. When you are collaging, or when you're painting or drawing, the point here is not to plan it, is to use your intuition and whatever images that come to you intuitively, and listen to those messages and just allowing yourself to be guided by your spiritual center, and choosing messages and colors or images that are just coming at you without questioning what it means, without questioning whether if it's going to look good or not. It's about you just sort of flowing with that intuitive guidance and putting it down on paper or canvas, whether if it's using images or just colors. The point is just to discover, align with your spiritual center and express it. That way you can actually have a communication, a balanced communication with your higher self. When it comes to singing, the same applies. Many times, we're so conditioned to play the radio and play some song that we like by a famous artist or pop star, but hardly ever people are encouraged to really sing in silence and hum and just try random melodies and random words. So I'm not necessarily asking you to become a professional songwriter here, but if you're out in the patio, in your garden, in the bath, or taking a shower, or in the kitchen cooking, I'd like to invite you to just allow yourself to play with us. Just play with us. Get the head out of the way. Connect with whatever you feel you can tune into that higher self, whatever you call higher self, God, spirit. Allow the intuitive and spontaneous improvisation to happen. And many times you will start listening melodies, you will start listening to music coming out of your head, sometimes with words and melodies together. And that automated intuitive process right there is another way to channel messages or guidance from your higher self through a creative outlet. But again, you have to really get that head out of the way. So you're not criticizing, you're not judging what is coming, you're not trying to understand it, you're just allowing it. So this is involving that balance of receiving and giving, right? You're being given some inspiration and some intuition or intuitive guidance, and you're receiving it. And then as you're receiving it, you're expressing it. As you're expressing it, you get to actually bring it to this physical world. And when you, this is really beautiful and it's an interesting experience to have because as you are creating something intuitive, you're having a different experience than when you actually get to read what you're created or what you have created. So, for instance, if you have created a song, a chant, or if you have written a poem or a prayer, or if you have painted something, when you are in that involved in that creative process, you are experiencing something very different than when you actually receive or create and manifest this into the third dimension. Now you have a song, a chant, a painting. And then when you start reading, when you start feeling what has come out of that initial experience, you will have a second experience then. It's really interesting. It's happened to me many times. I've created a song, a poem, or a painting, and when I look at it right after I've created it, I get to have this very multidimensional metaphysical experience that becomes very intimate. It's almost like you are actually um, absorbing that message in a very energetic way. And many times the head is engaged at this point, and you are reading your song, you're reading your poem, you're looking at that painting, and your body is trying to assimilate the message. It's almost like you are communicating not only with your mind, your subconscious, with your body, but you're communicating at a higher level. There's a communication happening here. It's very important for you to remember that. And just remember that each stage serves a different purpose in that communication process. And what I really like about this practice of creative spirituality is that many times whatever I have created has a message for me at the moment, but then I will put it away, and then 3 months down the road, or a year later, or 3 years later, if I revisit that material, wherever it is, whether if it's like again, a song, a chant, a painting, or a poem, something that I've written, it will actually give me another message. So as you grow and expand your eyes, your perception changes, and whatever you actually have created will sort of deliver different messages to you. It's a very organic and experience that remains alive even later after you have created it. When it comes to dance, again, it is really interesting for me to see that it looks like cultures, many cultures have conditioned people to only dance at a certain times, only dance at certain events, and only dance certain things. Um, when you dance to music on the radio or your preferred song, it could deliver a great experience. Of course, you're connecting to something inspirational or something emotional that is bringing some form of healing or relief. However, what I want to invite you to do here is to try to dance to instrumental music of your choice. I prefer drums, and some people prefer something that includes more instruments, and try to experience something more spontaneous, something more intuitive when you're dancing. If you are dancing to a song that has words, it will involve your head. It will involve your head, and you'll start thinking, you'll start connecting that song, those words, to an experience, to a memory. When you are playing just instruments, as long as they're not also attached to a specific memory, if you are connecting just those instruments and you're listening to the instruments, then you become a channel and you allow your intuition to guide your movement. And as you are allowing your intuition to guide your movement, you're becoming again it's almost like you're becoming a pencil for divine source, for that spiritual higher self aspect of yourself. Okay, so again, these four creative outlets that I'm inviting you to try are writing, singing, and dancing, and or painting, drawing, or involving images. If you're not good at drawing, if you're not good at painting, you can try just using color, communicating yourself with just abstract color splashing, or just using color and brushes on a canvas. Even if you don't see a specific images, the fact you're using specific textures and colors in certain way and in certain places, it will carry a feeling, a message for you as well. And when it comes to dancing, and dancing, painting, or using images, collages, singing, and writing, the main key right here is that you are looking to connect with your intuition, your spiritual center. So you're going to need a more organic, spontaneous improvisation type of flowing activity, and that you are seeking to get your head out of the way. The moment you start thinking, you start judging, you start trying to coordinate things, or you get stuck, that's a time for you to get back to that feminine way of being. Perhaps many times you can put your hand over your heart, and you can put the other hand over either hand is okay, but you can put one hand over your heart and the other hand over your womb space, and it will help you to sort of connect with that intuitive, organic way of feeling and seeing, so that it can teach your body to function from a more flowing spiritual guidance. Okay, so this is what I mean by creative spirituality. Now, when it comes to creative motherhood, once you allow yourself to practice creative spirituality, you will see that over time, you'll get to discover and uncover who you are authentically, who you are at the core of your spiritual center. You get to nourish and nurture that being, that spiritual being of yours. And as you're expressing it, you start also, you begin to receive messages and codes, and you get to really align with those desires and dreams that are coming from your soul, from your life purpose, from that very authentic place. And it's really interesting to see when I look at the things that I have said to myself that I want or that I desire, when I'm operating from my headspace. And when I compare those things with the things that I have decided that I desire and want, and that I have discovered from a more authentic, original place coming from my actual higher self, my core spiritual center, things just look so different. I'm also inviting you that as you're experimenting with this new way of being or new way of discovering yourself, that you keep what you're doing, because it will really surprise you and amaze you, to see how much growth you experience, um, using this practice, using this creative spirituality practice. You will see who you were, who you are from a headspace. What are the things that you're drawn to that perhaps don't even fulfill you fully from a spiritual level, from a even heart level? And then you learn to discover what are the things, what are the real things in life that are truly nourishing to you and to your spiritual, to your spiritual center, to your soul. What is it that nourishes your soul authentically? And then you start gravitating towards those things more and more and more. And as you're discovering what is more authentic and more aligned with your soul, that's when you implement the creative motherhood part. That's when you really practice that ability to birth as a creative and dream mother. I'm not talking about creative motherhood as, motherhood with children, as mother of children. I'm not talking about that type of motherhood. I am talking about becoming a creative mother to those desires, to those dreams, to those things that you have discovered, are very important to your soul, and they have become important for you to feel self-fulfilled. And it's really interesting. Sometimes people think they want specific jobs or careers, and they think that that's going to help them feel fulfilled and happy. But then as you start practicing creative spirituality, and you really go deeper and deeper into who you are at the core, many of these things that you thought you wanted start dissolving, and they transform into more substantial, desires. And then it really gives you a lot of clarity. And at that point, when you practice creative motherhood, that means that you are actually focusing your intuitive guidance and your actions into really fulfilling those particular desires. You are following inspired, or you are taking inspired actions. You, really focusing your energy and your attention to nurturing and nourishing those specific things that now you have discovered or uncovered that are really more fulfilling and nourishing to your soul. And in a way, is what I like about these practices is that it is a great way to develop, feminine leadership within yourself. And it's a great way to learn how your multidimensional aspects work. It's a great way to develop trust in yourself and develop trust in your intuition. It is a great way to really create your life and your own spirituality and spiritual expression in a way that is fulfilling to you, to your unique character, to your unique identity as a soul, to your unique, it's a way for you to create a path that is going to serve the core of your your soul and your own needs. Your own needs. It's tailored to you by you. And as you're doing that, it creates such a great sense of empowerment. You get to trust yourself. You really get to discover the things that are truly nourishing to you, not someone else, but to you. You get to trust a higher source. You get to trust your spiritual guidance. You get to design your life or co-create your life in a way that is actually aligned with your life purpose and your soul's desires. Because as long as you have discovered the desires that are coming straight from your soul and not your head, and as long as you are focusing on those desires, on nourishing those specific things that you know already are truly self-fulfilling, then your life becomes pretty much authentic. Authentic. And when I mean authentic, not authentic in a sense that you're living just out of the box. I mean authentic in the sense that your life is truly matching who you are spiritually, who you are at the center of your core, who you are as a soul, that your outer external life is matching what's important to you as a spirit, what's important to your spirit. That's when you get to thrive spiritually. That's when you get to thrive physically, because you are feeding your spirit. Your spirit is shining and irradiates joy, irradiates just that rich and deep sense of, I want to use for the right word here. I want to say love, and I want to say it's a realization. It's a realization that it's really a way to fill your cup with your own juice and no one else's influence. So it can be a very deep and fulfilling sense of joy. That's kind of like the word I'm looking for here. But most importantly, it makes you congruent. It makes you aligned. It makes you a being that expresses every day in your practical life who you truly are as a soul. And it's a way to achieve congruency and be aligned in your physical experience as well. Many times people live separate lives. They are spiritual here, and then they live a mainstream culture there, and they experience this sense of separation where the two just don't seem to meet. But if you do practice creative spirituality and this creative motherhood methods that I am suggesting here, using these four creative outlets that I have shared with you, you do embark into a journey that will become very unique to you, that will be tailored by you in your own spiritual guidance. No other guru, no one else. So you do get to experience feminine leadership coming from within. And so I really hope that you do feel inspired to try this technique, as I know that for me in my personal life, it has helped me feel empowered. It has helped me feel more congruent. It has helped me feel more fulfilled with who I am and with how my life is. And it helps me realize that everyone has a different path, everyone has a different life purpose. And everyone is going to look different, and you don't have to look like someone else. You get to be you. You get to thrive by being who you are in all levels in a wholesome way. So I hope you have enjoyed this class. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. I know that Mia is going to be providing some information, some contact information towards the end. And until next time, infinite love, deep gratitude, infinite love and blessings to you all. Bye.